Great evening, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of Beautiful Minds, a live chat show with unsung heroes around the world with me, Kirti. People are prettiest when they start to talk about what they really love with passion in their eyes. And today, I've got a person like that with me who would like to tell us about her spanning a career from Google to Radio Pango and finally following her passion towards as an MC with continuing earning the certificates which really matters to her. And I have with me Ardra Balachandran.
Yeah, there you
Hi.
go. Hello.
Hi,
She is
Kirti.
an MC by profession. She's a writer, a food enthusiast, and a person who believes that there is no bad time to start something new and who believes in the magic of beginnings. So, welcome, Adra Chechi, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you,
no,
Kirti. I,
it feels so odd to give so formal introduction about you when I know you very personally. But still, I'll call you Adra Chechi, which makes me more comfortable with the show.
I think for the sake of brevity, you should just stick to Ardra for this half an hour.
All right, that's no problem. Okay, audience, before we go on with the show, I would like to share with you a few things about Ardra. She was a senior of mine in St. Joseph's College. I was a fan of hers from the moment I saw her in TV because I believe that at that time when you have someone who is in the TV channel and when you find that person in front of you, you will feel like, wow, a celebrity, someone who's in a TV. And I still remember the day when I went and met her. And I told her, Chichi, I have seen you in TV and I like the way you do it. She was like, okay, done here. And then it just went on, the days just went off, and then we moved out. But then we still were in contact with a hi hello relation. And I would also like to share one thing. The moment when I decided, or I was having a plan of starting a show, Beautiful Minds, two people came into my mind to discuss about this. One was a friend of mine. She's an editor in Times of India, and the other person was Ardra Shishi. So when I asked her, she said it's a very beautiful thing which you're talking about. We can go ahead. But then I said there is one condition in one of my show. You have to be the guest. So she agreed with that, and this is the day when I have the much awaited person in my show. She's a mentor of mine. She's a great critic of mine. But yes, in short, she is just great. So Ardra Shishi, on to you.
Thank you.
There you go. So now on to you. Let's share something about your, yeah. I know, Ardra, I mean like Ardra, it finds very difficult for me to say Ardra at this point. Yeah. So I know your face wouldn't be much familiar to the audience here, but if they hear me telling you the stages which you have been, I'm sure their eyes would be having an emoji of pain. So, on to you. Let us know something about you, the time you started your career, and yes, there you go.
Um, so my relationship with camera goes back a long way in the sense that I think it was during my +2 period that I sort of had this revelation that media, rather stage, limelight, that sort of a space is where I want to be. There are a lot of factors that get into it, but more important than that is that I had that revelation at that point. So from that time, then I came for my communicative English degree at St. Joseph's College, and I started doing TV alongside. It was all film based, less serious shows, so to say, in the beginning. So I started my TV journey in 2004. That's like 16 years ago. Makes me sound really old as well.
It is safe to not mention the years because the audience would definitely count down your year, your age and mine as well. So no, never.
I'm not going to mention yours, but then I am a proud 34-year-old. This is something that I've often heard on Instagram. I mention my age quite openly in my posts on Instagram, and there are people who have asked me, why do you reveal that? I mean, all the 34 years of experience are all mine here. Why wouldn't I brag about it? So all my age and talking about it. But yeah, so in 2004 is when I started my television journey. And that continued during my graduation days, and then soon after my BA Communicative English at St. Joseph's, I got placed at Google in Hyderabad. So I moved from Kerala to Hyderabad in 2006, but then I continued my TV stint for a while more. I kept traveling once every 2 months, would do some shoot for some episodes together and then go back, continued that, but then that wasn't sustainable. Then I had a break from TV during my Hyderabad life. And then I came back to TV with my architecture show called Veeda on Manorama News. If at all anybody, identifies my face, it is because of that show, because that is one show that gave me a lot of exposure. Not for my face or my personality per se, but then, the show was really great in content, and it is something that is very aspirational for everyone, particularly Malayalis, and everybody wants to build a house, and watching nice houses being shown in all great detail is something that everybody likes watching. But maybe not this target audience, because your students and the most people who are watching this are probably young people. It is 35 plus people who usually watch these architecture shows, because that is the stage in which we are seriously thinking about making houses and all that. But yeah, that is my the show that is my fame, whereas TV is concerned.
Yeah, but if someone goes and check the episode of We, they might be shocked to see the transformation of that and now, because I was shocked.
There are a couple of reasons to it. One thing is, I have huge weight fluctuations over the years. There are phases when I lose weight, then I gain weight. I'm generally not very the second thing is that, I absolutely hate wearing makeup when I am not required to do it for work. Either when I'm on stage or when I'm facing camera, I really wear makeup because it's a professional demand. But otherwise, I really don't like wearing makeup. I'm really not identifiable for people. Everybody will be like, I've seen her somewhere. But so it's in a way, I mean, I get my privacy that way as well, so it works.
Okay, so we are there right now in Google, and now what next after Google?
Okay, so I think I should sort of chart out my journey in a capsule format. So soon after my BA Communicative English, I got placed, as I mentioned, and I worked with Google for 2+ years. I think 2 years and about 4 months. And I was in Hyderabad, and I was always clear that I want to do my master's. It could be, you could say it is family pressure, whatever, because generally I have seen people around me having a master's degree. So even though I got this really safe, secure, nice, comfortable job at Google, this always, was running in the back of my mind that I need to get my master's. One thing. Second thing, technology is not really my cup of tea. No matter how cushy and comfortable the job is, that the domain that you're in, what you're dealing with at Google is at the core of it technology, right? And I'm not somebody who has that passion for technology to grow in that industry. So I realized that pretty soon. But then it would have been quite foolish for me to turn down a job offer like from Google, right? So which is why I thought I'll experiment with it. That's how I went in there. And then I stayed for about 26, 28 months. And absolutely no regrets. In fact, I totally cherish that experience, because my world really took off when I moved from Kerala at the age of 20 to a metro city like Hyderabad, and the kind of crowd that I got to interact with at Google, it's really creme de la creme. It was mostly college recruits who came in from, different cities, from tier 1, tier 2 cities, best colleges, the best students came in. So my exposure to that kind of a crowd, that made a whole lot of difference to the way I thought. My world changed when I went to Google. So I'm really glad I took that step. Everybody, most people in my family were like, hey, are you sure you want to start working soon after your BA? Why don't you? See, it's not like BTech, right? Once you finish your engineering, you're expected to go in for these corporate jobs. But then going after BA, and that was also the time of the whole BPO boom, right? So everybody was like, are you going
that's right.
call center job? Like, look down upon me. Not that anything with the call center job, but that's how that was people's frame of mind at that point. Anyway, I'm glad I took the plunge. But then I knew that is not where I see myself in the future. So I was in the right place. I was in Hyderabad. So my office was like 8 kilometers away from my university. So I went and personally gave my application. I went and personally attended the interview. Everything happened in such proximity. And then I quit and then I joined for my master's in communication at University of Hyderabad.
Okay.
So that I would say is sort of beginning of the next phase of my life. Again, University of Hyderabad changed my life in a completely different way. You know, it's a world of intelligentsia, right? I mean, so many
That's right.
thinking, brilliant brains out there. You know, exposing you to lines of thought that you haven't, you know, thought in before. Absolutely new roads for me there. So 2 years of my life, I had the ball in the sense that, you know, one thing that I have, my takeaway from my education bit of my life is that if you enjoy the subject that you're studying, there is nothing like it. And I'm a beneficiary of, you know, I've also had the privilege of, you know, choosing whatever I wish to study. For example, I had a close friend during my +2 who wanted to join for BA Communicative English along with me, but then she couldn't because she had, you know, of family pressures of having to feed a family as soon as she would graduate. Because after BA Communicative English, nobody knew, you know, if you would actually get a job. That's still, if you go for a normal BA BSc course, nobody knows if you will get a job. That's not guaranteed. So for people who,
That's right.
I had the privilege that I did not have to think of such things, so I could choose my way freely. But then I really benefited from that. So my communicative English, my master's in communication, I specialized in print and new media. Then later I did my MPhil in gender studies also. But all the three subjects that I've studied, because I studied with interest and passion, it really, really reflected in my learning and also the marks that I got. So where were we? Masters in communication. Yeah. So I finished my MA in communication. So although I was trained to be a print journalist and I also enjoyed writing, but I figured that I did not want to be in the hardcore news part of the industry. I figured that I fit in better for a combination of entertainment and information. So that is how I came back to Kerala and joined Radio Mango, which is Kerala's first private FM channel station. So yeah, I was with Radio Mango for 2.5 years. And then in late 2013, I took the plunge and resigned from Radio Mango as well and became a self-employed person. And till date, I am a freelancer, self-employed media professional. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my, oh my God.
Okay. And can you just share the stage which you felt so happy that you felt, wow, I'm so lucky that I am here on the stage with this person. Is there anyone that you have really felt in your this long career?
You're talking about stage, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, as an MC.
I'm a big fan of our Honorable Chief Minister, our current Chief Minister. So I think each time I'm on stage with him, I have butterflies in my stomach and excitement, all of those emotions put together. But then what I have noticed is, you know, in the build-up towards an event, I may be quite excited and all of that. About, you know, sharing the stage with a high-profile person. For example, when I did the Kerala State Awards in my own hometown, Kottayam, Mohanlal was on stage and it was the first time I was sharing stage. So, and, you know, all the guests for that particular evening were all, you know, celebrities who we adore, right? But what I've noticed is once I'm on stage, there is really no time for that sort of an admiration, you know, to sort of nurture that, okay, I'm feeling this. That sort of a space you really don't get on stage, because you're on stage, you really have to be on your toes, right? And you're constantly thinking of, you know, keeping your eye in so many different directions. Everything is going, you know, according to plan. If one thing goes off, then plan B has to come in in that moment itself. So you're thinking of so many things when you're on stage. You really don't have the time to actually nurture that admiration. But then yes, my heartbeat goes up a little bit when I am on stage behind Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan. Yes.
No, I recently saw an interview of yours with him during this COVID period. I remember when I was asking you whether would you be available on the last second episode of mine. You said you're just traveling, but then you gave a link saying that there was an interview happening. And I said, oh my God, during the COVID also you're just doing interview. And how does it feel being on the other side rather than being an interviewer, being an interview? What do you feel right now? Maybe if I'm right, this is the first interview of Ardra Balachandran. And I'm so happy and privileged that I am the luckiest person, because when you reach somewhere, you can probably say, my first interview was in Beautiful Minds. So I'll be so happy to hear that. Yeah, so how do you feel when on the other side, being an interviewee, how do you feel? Like you feel happy, or you feel, what is the feeling that you have?
Interestingly, a friend of mine, I'll just connect this to a story. So a friend of mine asked me, I think a year plus ago, Ardra, don't you want to be on the other side? Like, what he meant is that, don't you want to get to that level of success where you are on the other side, where you are being interviewed by people? But my honest answer at that point, and even right now to you, would be, I would rather be on your seat, in the sense that I don't see myself as a storyteller yet. Like, I don't think of my life as that interesting to be, to be talking of it as a story to people. I'd rather be the initiator of stories, the person who takes out stories from people. That is the role that I still really enjoy. Like, I always say this to my close circle: who do you want to be, or who do you want to be like? I would say, Oprah Winfrey is the person in my mind at the epitome of, where I see success. And what does she do? She still initiates those conversations, and she still gets those stories out of people, right? I mean, her life is really interesting enough to be told as a story and more. But still, what I'm trying to say is that job to take out stories from people is what I essentially love about what I do. So that is something that I do want to continue doing. And until this point, definitely, I don't think of myself as somebody whose story is that interesting enough to be, aired. Like this. But
RCC, just one thing. When you have quit your job from Google and then from Radio Mango, and then you decided to be self-employed as an MC, okay? So I believe the time when you started to, decided to be an MC, you might have had a lot of people around you telling you that, do you really think it's a career? Do you really think it's something which is worth to leave all this? And along with that, when you have a set of your degrees along with you, people might have definitely asked you to go on for some, being a professor or an assistant professor thing. So did you also go through the same situation? Because I'm sure the viewers here would be, would have definitely had a doubt that can MC also be taken as a profession?
Right. So at the point that I quit from Radio Mango, I think I should be honest here. So the thing that is most precious to me is my freedom. Okay. So at the point I quit from Radio Mango, I was really doing well in the organization. I was sort of climbing the ladder, and I was almost at the verge of getting a promotion and things like that. Things were really good. And then I got this opportunity to restart doing leader on Manorama News, which belongs to the same media house, and for some policy internal reason, they did not let me, do the TV show, and it instinctively felt like, so when I was told that I wouldn't be able to do the TV program along with my full-time job without affecting the job in any way, but still I wouldn't be allowed to, so I instinctively felt like resigning. What I mean to say is, it wasn't based on a plan. I did not quit my full job at Radio Mango with the plan that, okay, I am going to be an MC. That's not how it happened. It was a really instinctive to just quit because I was not allowed to do something that I thought was fair. MCing happened later. Again, I'd like to, sort of emphasize this. I was privileged enough to take such a step without thinking much about it, because I wasn't feeding anybody else. I wasn't responsible for anybody else, which is why I was able to do that. So that's a privilege that I'd like to acknowledge at every point. Yeah. So, yeah, everything happened organically after that. At the point which I resigned, I only had a TV show in my hand, which was like 4 episodes a month. So that was a measly sum. But then I somehow had the confidence that from there we'll grow somehow. We'll do more stuff and things like that. And emceeing organically happened. Coming back to your question about people asking about if it is a viable career option. I never thought of it myself that way. In the sense, I did not get into it. MCing is going to be my career from now on. There was no thought like that. It happened all right. But once I got into the groove of that is a question that I faced a lot. Particularly because I completed my MPhil by 2016 January, I think. And even at the time when I had finished my master's, my university professors, my family, everybody sort of expected me to go on and do a PhD. But then at that point, I did not want to, in the sense that if I did a PhD, I wanted it to be abroad, because University of Hyderabad was, I believe, is one of the best education experiences that you can get in the country. So once you've gotten a master's from there, then my aspiration was higher than that. If I'm doing a PhD, then it would rather be outside the country. So yeah, I did not want to do a PhD at that point, and everybody doubted my choices. I mean, even at this point, even last, I think 2 weeks ago, I faced this question from my intimate family. What do you really want to do with a PhD now? What are you doing with your life? My point is, perceptions of success is so different for different people, right? I mean, when you are putting me on this seat and you're interviewing me, you're sort of putting me on a pedestal and you see me as a successful person, but it need not be for others, right? But the point is how we perceive ourselves is what matters. So I keep telling my parents, there are many points when my own parents have a feeling that I haven't done justice to my skills, I haven't made right choices and things like that. I think these battles go on, right, for everybody. We are on this battle to prove that we are worth it and all that, but ultimately at the end of the day we have to be happy with ourselves, with the choices that we have made. Coming back to emceeing as a career choice, I would really like to thank Ranjini Haridas for that, because when I started out, she was one of the I haven't had a personal conversation or anything with her till this moment, but then I really look up to her for being one of those first pioneers who sort of paved way for so many others who came behind her to choose this as a profession. So about 2 years into being a freelance professional, I figured that this is a viable career option. And until COVID happened, I was going on in full swing and full conviction. But now that COVID is here, by definition, my industry requires people to gather. So work scene is quite dull right now.
No, but I would, in a way, I would thank COVID for some reasons. I know I'm being so selfish by saying if it was not there, maybe I would have not got you on the show. You might be just flying to some of the other places. I know, but I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I just one more thing I want to ask about MC. Chichi, what would you recommend if there are any youngsters who are really interested to be MC? They feel that, okay, now let's think about something like this. What would you recommend them to work on?
So there are a couple of obvious things, right? I mean, one is you need to be confident, and because being on stage, the first thing is that when I say confidence, it's not really about just getting over stage fright, right? I mean, I still have stage fright. I think before every event, I still feel those jitters. I think without that, there's a certain complacence that seeps into what you do, which is not a good place to be in. So I still feel those jitters before every stage. And it is after those first couple of links on stage that I get through and sort of, I profusely sweat even now. So when I start using the mic on stage, I still profusely, sweat. Only about half an hour into the event, I'm sort of into, the groove of it. What I mean to say is, you absolutely need to be confident. And where does that confidence come? come from? It comes from preparation, right? And
Yeah.
when I say preparation, I don't mean the preparation just before the event, or just the scripting. Not preparation of that sort, but generally being prepared as a person. So what has been of great value for me is that this is another aspect of what you just asked me. You have all these degrees and you're still an MC. That's the question that you asked me earlier, right? My
Yes.
point is, this has really set me apart in being an MC, in the sense that I'm not saying with degrees, your knowledge intrinsically, sort of increase. I don't believe that way at all. And you don't need to have degrees to have knowledge at all. Neither way. But that sort of is my edge, I believe, when I am an MC. I mean, there is a certain level of awareness and knowledge that comes from the education and experience that I have had in life, which I bring onto the stage, right? And it is not something that is quite tangible. I can't put my fingers on one thing, that comes out of that experience or education, but those things reflect in the way you talk, in connect things. So the thing is, as an MC, have a script and just talk according to this. That's something that anybody can do. But what sets you apart? If as an MC, if you can be improvising, at every point, according to the requirement of the audience, according to the requirement of the guest, that is what really sets you apart, right? So I would say preparation in terms of language, awareness, pronunciation, observation, all of that matters, makes a difference. So it is really not about speaking language with an accent. I have seen a lot of people, in real life, they'll talk in a certain way, and on stage they just put on a certain stylish accent, and I really don't think that is what emceeing or being good on stage is about. It's absolutely fine to have an accent, right? I mean, everybody has an accent. When we say you have an accent, we usually think we're talking about the Malayali accent. No, everybody has an accent, because English is not our native language, right? And it's absolutely okay. But when you're honest on stage, I think that sort of shines through. So if somebody wants to be an MC, I would recommend that they be prepared in terms of language, experience, and observation.
Okay. What in COVID? What are you doing right now? Stage is empty. So, what is the MC doing right now?
That makes my heart sink. The stage is empty. A good question.
Yeah.
If you're asking me what I did through the lockdown period, I was mainly cooking. So to clarify, I am not a person who enjoys, in the sense that I'm a huge foodie. I love eating food. So I really don't enjoy being on the other side, because the thing is, through the process of cooking, by the time you're done with cooking, all those flavors are all over your mind and, brain.
Yeah, that's right.
Have lost everything for that food. So I'd rather be on the other side eating and not cooking. But then, like we said, I had a lot of time at hand, and I was in my native place in Kottayam during the lockdown period with my parents, and there was a lot of availability of stuff like chakka, chambakya, and all sorts of other. So with all of that coming in, I'm a major efficiency person. I can't see stuff going to waste. So I utilized all of that chakka, chambakya with help, because we had help at home. A lot of my Instagram followers will know this person called Tangamajechi at home. So we were one team.
Yes, I know.
So we were one team, and we would make lots of stuff, jams, pickles, squash, everything. So cooking was mainly what I did during the lockdown period. But that said, we are into phase 2 now, right? It's unlock time now, and I'm seriously starting to think how to go ahead, because this is the new normal, as we say, and it's going to be a while before, like you said, stages come back in full force. So I'm still thinking about it. So I have a couple of things going on. For example, I'm a freelance writer for this magazine called Teacher Plus, based in Hyderabad. It is a national magazine exclusively for school teachers. So I do assignments, like 3 or 4 assignments a year for them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's freelance basis. So that is
Okay.
that's the main writing part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I do that. Then there are, media engagements that come in once in a while, but that none of this is plan B for what I mainly do on stage. So I'm still in the thinking phase of how to sort of re-strategize in this new normal. But then, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, a PhD is something that I want to do. So I think I should talk about failures also, not just successes, right? What do you say?
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Go ahead. So that people
yeah,
know that I'm not only bringing people, those who are really successful and those who didn't struggle at all. Because I'm sure that when people think about, a live chat show with unsung heroes, they might be, no, they might be looking forward for a person who's really successful. But I would say definitely we need to discuss about some failures or some struggles that you had, which
right.
which should be balanced equally. Yes.
Right. So that brings me to my, PhD application thing. So the last 3 years, I have been trying to get into a PhD program abroad. I have applied to the US and UK in the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make sense to go for a PhD program abroad. It lasts from 4 to 5 years, right? So
Mm-hmm.
almost everybody goes for it, on a self-funded basis. It has to be supported by a scholarship. So scholarship didn't come through. So that is something that I want to do. But then in the new, in the new world post-COVID, not post-COVID, during COVID,
Yeah.
moving countries and applying, and in generally higher education scene is in sort of a limbo. So I don't really see it happening next year either, but then that is definitely something that I want to do for myself. And like I said, even last week my close family asked me, what exactly are you going to do with a PhD at the age of 34? I'm turning 35 soon in August. So everybody thinks of PhD as, as your ticket to a professorship in a college, and everybody that I don't intend to do any of that, because I cleared a long time ago, but then I have no intention to join any institution as a professor. So yeah, people ask me, what do you want to do with a PhD? But the point is, I want to do a PhD for my learning. I really don't look at it as, as a stepping stone for the next job. That's not how I look at it. If you look at my all the 3 degrees, communicator English, my masters, my MPhil, I did all of those because I wanted to learn. I wanted to study that subject, learn, understand. That's exactly the same thing with PhD as well. So fingers crossed, I hope to make it for my PhD abroad with scholarship soon. I'm
Wish you all the very best for that. The viewers here, if you go and check out, at Ardra Manasam, you will find all these things which he has said about Sakka, Chambakya, and every single crazy food things which he has done. I even went through that. And I was like, oh my God, can you make all these things? And I was just telling my my in-laws here that where does this person get all this chakka from? None of us are getting here, and she's been making all these stuff. And no, being a Malayali, I'm sure that everyone would love to have this. So please go ahead and you will understand why does she call herself as a food enthusiastic. Okay. Aditi, now before we wind up our show, what is the message that you would like to share to others, those who are viewing here, based on?
Yeah, so I mean, whatever I want to say on a closing note wouldn't be based on me being an MC, or to people who aspire to be an MC or anything of that sort, but just comes from a being a woman point of view. I'm assuming that a lot of women are watching this. So yeah, so I'm a proud feminist, and my single that most pertinent understanding from my own life until this point is that self-awareness is everything. The more you understand
Yeah.
about yourself, what you want, it reflects in everything, all spheres of your life, right? We all make so many choices on a daily basis, whether it comes to personal relationships or professional relationships. So the more you know yourself, what you want from life, what you want from others, what you want from the world, that makes all the difference, to the life that we get eventually. So the more we can work on self-awareness, the better. I didn't have anybody tell me this when I was younger. So I'm assuming a lot of younger people are listening to us, and the only thing that I want to tell them is focus on yourself. Try and understand what you are, what you like doing. Of course, other people's opinions matter. Listen to everybody, but then at the end of the day, make decisions for yourself so that you are responsible for your life, and that is a great place to be. We often want to sort of fall into that space where you can place a responsibility on others that you don't have to. It's a huge load, right? When you take your own decisions and then you're responsible for that as well. So that's a responsible place to be, and we might shy away from that, but that is a great space to be. So the more you know yourself, the more equipped you are to take those decisions for yourself. So yeah, there's one quote that I like to read out to our younger readers. Is that okay, Katie?
Sure. Go ahead.
So this is a book that I've been reading for a long time. So I've been reading it in bits, but it's almost like a scripture for me. Anytime I feel dull, I take this book and sort of read a paragraph out of it. It makes so much sense to me. And the sentence I read yesterday. So this is a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves, and it's written by Pinkola Estes. Have you heard of this?
Would you mind to show that on the screen so that if any viewers would love to read that, they can go on?
This is I would say it is an absolutely must-read book. Okay, I had placed a bookmark on this and I lost it. Right, I got it. Right. So, although there will be scars and plenty of them, it is good to remember that in tensile strength and ability to absorb pressure, a scar is stronger than skin. So what I mean to say is, we all have skin, but then all of us have scars. We tend to hide our scars, but then what I mean to say is those scars are actually symbols, or rather proof of our failures, what we tried to do, what we couldn't achieve. But those scars make us stronger than our skin. So that's what I'd love.
Very true.
You on.
Yeah, very true, Aditi. Would agree with you, and I'm sure that the viewers would definitely agree with the same itself. Viewers, there is last 30 seconds before I wind up the show. If there is anyone who would like to just ask something to Ardra Balachandran, just go ahead. This platform is open for you right now. So if there is anyone who would like to ask something or wish Ardra on this platform for her great success and for her PhD, her dream PhD to US, it's welcome from our team as well. So is there anyone who would like to go on? People are giving me, giving comments here that hello, hi, Ardra ji, and things. I'm sure you would be reading that as well. All right. So with that note, Aditi, I think we may have to just wind up this show. Viewers, the link of this particular video will be there in the YouTube channel, and kindly just go ahead and watch, like, comment on that, and. Thank you so much for supporting Beautiful Mind, as always you have done. Next weekend, again, you will have another new person. So join us, get inspired. Aditi, thank you so much again for always being with me.
Katie, I want to tell you that I'm extremely proud of you. I have really seen you grow in your entrepreneurial path. So
thank you.
You've discussed this with me, and it's really a privilege to watch you grow as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a person. So all the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aditi. Viewers, thank you for joining us and listening to us as well as watching. So keep supporting Beautiful Minds. Till then, we catch up next week. It's bye from both of us. Bye-bye.